All right, we are in the action. Operator bands rolling in. Nick, what do you expect here on a skyscraper ban, my friend?
I'm actually very curious to see if VivoKey will opt for the multi-ban on attack. It's just like one of those attack operators that simplifies things a lot. Even though VivoKey will be the starting attacking team, you know, them being the more experienced team, you always want to try and make it as difficult as possible for the opponent. They're not going to go for it, but it's still going to be pretty standard bans, all things considered. The Ying, the Dokkaebi, very high pick rate, very high ban rate throughout this stage 2 so far. Same story for Fenrir. And then we're down to this Kaid, Mira, or Valkyrie. That's the big three. The Kaid makes breaching a lot more difficult. You gotta bring the Thatcher to deal with the claws. That's annoying. Valkyrie for the intel. And of course, the Mira brings out the one-way mirror windows. But it's actually gonna be a Sami. I'm entirely wrong. So you're gonna have intel on the board, Mira on the board, Kaid on the board. Defense is actually gonna have a pretty good time here, I feel like.
Ooh, look at that Finka skin. We don't.
Oh my god, I forgot about the patch, bro. So in case, yeah. So what happened? Yesterday or day before? I don't remember. The new patch is out, Parker. Finka has grenades again.
Yep.
Yay! Woo! As a caster, this doesn't hurt me all that much. But as a player of the ranked games, as a player of the former professional league in EU, being a smoke main with 17 bullets in my SMG11 up against the Finka LMG, it brings me nightmares till this very day. And the fact that she's back in the meta because she has nades once more makes me scared. Okay? I'm gonna get that out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's comments about the timing of this patch aside, given that the LCQ to qualify to this point was played on a different patch than now you're actually going to be playing in the closed, I guess, playoffs, if you want to call it that. But yeah. I mean, the Yana changes, the gridlock changes, the Finka changes, to a lesser extent, probably the swapping around to the 1.5s, Tachanka getting a damage buff. There's some good stuff in here. I like them. Just focusing on operator bans, by the way. Far and away the most banned operator in all of Brazil was Ying on attack, 37 times to 27 for Monty in second place. Third place, Dokkaebi at 18 times. Ying banned twice as much as the Dokkaebi. Dokkaebi was the second ban here, banned out by VivoKey stars. In regards to Fenrir, 8 bans, sitting somewhere around the middle. We usually see the Kaid ban, we usually see a Valkyrie ban, we usually see the Azami ban. Azami obviously banned out on this map. Tualizado have their work cut out for them, so to speak, against one of the pro-Brazilian teams, but as was discussed, we've got some talented players on it. Look at how quickly Hornetau could take advantage of just a oversight on defense. Didn't look like anybody was actively playing backstairs.
Speaking of talented players, Hornetau is your man. I mean, this is the person who's been fragging it out, having a great performance in stage 2, and just as we see, entering the building relatively quickly, but this is skyscraper. You can only get so far. Where the doors are barricaded, there's pieces of barbed wire on the ground, soft wall destruction, etc. There's just gonna be this kind of like, okay, defenders, they will only care about, you know, half of the map, and the other half is relatively free if they take it off the attack inside. But this is the line right here. It's where the defenders, they hold strong, and there's actually Lenda who falls first, and Gomez secondly, and all of a sudden the attack just falls apart. Lenda was on the bomb site window, halfway across where Hornetau is playing. Now that means if he was in a bad spot, Daffodil has to retake the position, and nobody on the attack inside is actually next to one another to really make a play together. So a very confusing and really, like, pretty weak first round here from VivoKey stars.
I mean, it's obviously their map, so you got to imagine they will improve as a team. I mean, maybe as time goes on. Well, the first casualty for Tualizado. You know what that means, by the way? Is it a word?
I have no idea.
There you go.
Do you know what it means?
Oh my, no! It means VivoKey stars don't watch their flank. That's what it means, Nick. 3 picks from Tualizado. They win round number 1.
So, speaking of Hornetau on the side of VivoKey stars, if you're curious who you gotta watch out for on the opposing team of Actualizado, you gotta look at Swag. First of all, this guy's like top gunning, entry, plus minus, performance. He IGLs, he's playing entry. Swag is the kind of guy that does it all for his team, basically. And of course, we can't forget about Bullet. Bullet played in that good old Liquid roster. He's playing on FaZe Clan as well. He's been around the block in high-level competitions in his time. He's the second entry player as well. So Antoine Lizardo really playing off the entries of both defense and the attack. And you got players like Bursa, who's like their, and Florio, who are like their supportive cast, who plays more on the back end. And to be completely honest with you, Nears, I couldn't figure out anything about him really doing my research, so I'm gonna assume he's like their flex +1 player. That's normally what happens when you can't find much info on them. You don't have a defined role, you don't have like a very clear cut, this is who they play, this is how they do it. It's gonna be flex players. Skyscraper, of course, is still one of those few maps that tends to be defender favored. It's just fundamentally a very difficult map to attack, like we saw in the previous round. If you're spread too thin, 3 people going for the roam clear, 2 people going directly to the side. All of a sudden, you don't have enough manpower to progress anywhere in the map. But let's say you go 5 people for the roam clear, then you have nobody pressuring the bomb site itself to keep the defenders from rotating. So you're always playing this really fine line on the attack of staying close enough, yet spreading out. And it just means that it really is down to the attackers to make all the moves and have to problem solve every inch of the map. And it's usually why we see the attacks being relatively slow, we play it pretty safe, which is not what Vivo Keystars did in the very first round, but that might change now. They play more passive operators. Look at this, the Gridlock, the Nomad. All of a sudden, it's just flank watch, stopping defenders from moving, and then wanting to get set up into this map.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you touched on the Finca back in round number 1 because it allowed us to also vamp about addition of Gridlock to this, what I don't know if she's going to become a meta operator, but certainly more viable now that she has nades, right? She was a great flex pick because she had what? She had smokes. She had access to breaches. She's got her shotgun. There was a lot that she could bring to the table here, and I believe she also had secondary EMPs. So really, just like a Jack or shall I say Jill of all trades when it comes to those secondary gadgets. Now having an extra set of nades, you've got flexibility. If you don't need a sledge, if you don't need a Yana necessarily, you can bring a Finca, you can bring a Gridlock. Still got nades on glass, still got nades on sledge. But you're gonna have to rely on Yana in a different way. And I wonder how much we're still gonna be seeing her at this level with the patch and the meta still kind of shaking out.
I'm very curious as well. Maybe speaking of those Gridlock nades, they go out, thinking to follow up as well. Up the staircase they go, but there's no defenders there to greet them. They've fallen off and given off this position of the map, playing for time, keeping 5 players alive, and those toxic babes. They'll go out, they'll stall for a bit of time here on the round timer. But a minute to go still. Vivo Keystars in an excellent position to actually get a plant down later in this round. There's still going to be 2 C4s, Florio and Bullet, the Mutant OMI, looking to make a play with Swag as well as scanning for those air jabs, looking to strike soon.
Bullet going for the jump out, but he's red, and there's 2 of them for Ornitao. Three players vaulting out. Ornitao cannot take down Nears at all. Lenda on the board, down goes Florio. This is Vivo Keystars now exerting their influence, and Nears is the only player left, the only player to get on the board earlier on this round. What can he accomplish? Creeping up ever so gently, 4 sets of eyes watching him, and it's Hates to finish things off. Excellently played by Vivo Keystars, but you gotta say, Achilles jumping out of the window one by one also certainly set up Vivo Keystars for some success.
When I saw the first one, I'm thinking, the second one for the trade, that's smart. I did not expect a third person, and I actually conceptually, I like what they were trying to accomplish by jumping out, because they used the Solis to figure out what the air jab was. Mute rotated over, put down a mute jammer. That was a change that happened a while back now, where Mute can actually jam the air jabs from working, which you can just jump out. The air jab doesn't knock you on your butt, so to speak. But the jammer, the air jab can also be put up so high above the window that the jammer can't reach. And that's what happened. They thought they jammed it. They jumped out. The first guy died midair, didn't hit the ground. Second guy got outside, but I got knocked backwards. And it was the third guy that ended up getting that trade. But getting 2 deaths for a single kill, plus you're losing bomb site control, isn't worth it. Maybe if that jammer had reached the air jab, the second guy gets the kill, you trade 1 for 1 effectively, and you can keep that third player near the bomb site itself. Maybe, maybe not. And that could be a better result. But before we get back into the action of what looked like a fade for a second, but it's Skyscraper, we're back onto it now. We're gonna have a quick tech pause, it seems.
Yeah, I don't know why this is happening, but we are here now. I'm assuming that there's an issue with one of the players. We will update you as we hear, but must be cool for the teams as well to play on LAN This was one thing that I think we had hoped NAL would do back in the day. Obviously, a certain pandemic kind of threw a wrench in the plans there, but the goal was for the teams to play relegations back when those were still a thing. To play relegations on stage, there was going to be Challenger League teams and playing as well. And now you can see Achilizado on the right side of your screen competing on the stage out of the studio in Brazil. Evo Keydstars, not unfamiliar whatsoever with this territory. They play here every single week. For teams that don't play on LAN regularly, you often forget how much better LAN feels than playing online.
Yeah, I mean, how good it feels in terms of like, zero ping, no delay, completely clean game. Yes, but you also don't realize how comfortable you are at your home setup. The desk and the chair has like the perfect height ratio. Your mouse mat just sits just right. And the material that's touching your skin, like your desk and your chair once again. All those small things, you don't realize just how much that plays a factor, on comfortability and familiarity. Then you go to LAN, everything's changing. Nothing feels right. It feels like you're playing with like oven mittens on, or those gloves on a thumb. You're just completely handicapped, and it can take some players a couple of rounds, or sometimes a couple of maps or even games to actually get somewhat familiar. And the worst thing is, you play, your best of 3, whatever. You pack up, you go home, next day you do it again. So you gotta change the setup every single day. You're never going to get it just right one-to-one. And we've seen pro players like Doki, for example, back over in Europe, currently playing for G2, where he's actually taken a photo of his setup with measurements. Like the mouse pad is X centimeters or inches from the monitor stand, and then like from the mouse mat to his like start of his like chair arm or whatever has like another like measurement, and like how far the desk is off the ground. And we've seen players in various games try and implement this kind of routine to figure out how they can recreate their setup one-to-one in any area of the world so it'll feel as comfortable and as familiar as possible. But if you're a new team or a new player, you're not gonna have these kind of tricks up your sleeve most likely. You're just gonna show up, in your jersey, in your hoodie, and just be like, we're just gonna try our best and game it out, right? And you kind of learn as you go with the years and the times.
Back in the action now, and I'm assuming Churrasquera. I'm assuming that's barbecue, or maybe that's kitchen. And then the other one is barbecue. I don't know. I don't speak Portuguese.
After all these years, Parker,
why
you
would
haven't
I?
picked up a few tricks, huh?
Wasn't it you? What was it? The French that were yelling at you, or when your DMs got real bad and you tweeted something like, "I wish they'd at least insult me in a language I understand."
Oh, that was in Portuguese. Yeah, it was back when I was a player. The very first time that Brazilian teams they went to LAN, LATAM was known as back then. We beat them as Penta, whatever, and I tweeted out like, "Oh, easy match, 2-0, whatever." They were not happy about that. They're not happy at all. To be honest, I don't blame them. I used to say that people, Portuguese people, they are warm people, they're passionate people, and if you're a fan and you're passionate and somebody trash talks your team, you're gonna trash talk back. That's passion, right? So I kind of asked for it. It's on me.
Didn't really see in that previous round how much the gridlock actually had any effects. And I mean, if you're bringing a Nomad and a gridlock, you have so much anti-flank. This is a map where anti-flank is very important because you've got lots of avenues to go for either runouts or jump outs, and you gain so much power from that. And if you're attacking on this map, you always need to be careful that somebody isn't going to just surprise you, as we saw in a previous round, or maybe 3 people surprise you. It's a bit of an overload maybe to bring both a Nomad and a gridlock, but it does pay a little bit of credence to the fact that, teams will bring operators solely for their nades. They will make the gadgetry work. All that matters is that they've got frag grenades on the side.
Oh, absolutely. It's why we're gonna see good luck more and more. It's not because the gadget is good now. We just didn't realize. No, the grenades have a pretty big impact here. Of course, things can change now because you have more flexibility in general. So one round is Finger, one round is Gridlock. Sometimes you don't play either, you just play the good old Sledge. Iana's pick rate though is the big question for me. How often we see Iana getting picked now that she only has the gun 6? She's more of like a run and gun, like a true entry now. Speaking of injuries, it's Swag looking for a flank that does not work out. He falls first, leaving his teammates with one man down.
Now, losing one of your more experienced players who's competed at a top level, Bullet obviously being the other name that most people will recognize here on this Atsuli's Auto roster, is never ideal. Now you lose Bursa as well. Round number 1 for Vivo Keedstars didn't look great. They got thwarted by the roam. Bullet will now engage, trying to hold things together on the stairs, cannot accomplish it. That's a big piece of map control now lost from Atsuli's Auto. Florio, the only one left. And Vivo Keedstars will have 5 players licking their chops. Down goes Hornet's House. Singular doorway, singular engagement. Frost will manage to scoot away for now. Oh no, doesn't see the Lion playing by the bar. Daffodil, the final kill, and it's 2 in a row for the attacking squad.
One thing about Skyscraper defense says that you typically don't ever want to aggress into your opponent unless you're like last resort. You know, you're at the bomb site, the bomb site's weak, walls are opened up, nowhere safe, you know, nades from below, flying, you know, up to the floor. Then maybe you can, you know, leave the bomb site and go for a swing. But Swag actually moved from his deployable shield on defense, you know, his anchor position, and pushed forward away from it to try and go for that flank. Maybe they had intel, default cam wasn't shot, or something like that from the defensive side. But an Ella flanking, giving up that shield position, top dragon, that is the, you know, the anchor point for defense, it's very questionable. It's one of those kind of risk versus reward, where in typical tier 1 fashion, you would never see a pro player make that move unless you're desperate. But when it's 5 versus 5, you want the attackers to come to that pressure point, to face the shield, deal with the utility, and struggle to clear out that position, just burn for time if anything. And yeah, okay, Swag's the IGL, you know, he'll call the shots even from the grave, watching the players or cameras. But opening kills is so important on Skyscraper. The map isn't necessarily very large in the areas that matter. Yeah, you get a lot of staircases and flanks and jump outs, but that's not where the majority of the round takes place, not where the important moments of the round tends to happen, unless it's like a clutch or a big play, for example, like a big flank. It's usually by top dragon statue. It's usually by drum. It's by the bomb site itself. So if you start dying in these really quote-unquote irrelevant or less important areas of the map on defense, you're just really putting your team in a hard-to-deal-with position, playing from behind, playing with less utility, and just having a much tougher time than you should have in these rounds.
How do they go about attacking this bomb site where things kind of looked a little bit pitiful, if I can use that word, for Vivo Keedstars back in round number 1? Atsuli's Auto was all over the place. The bandit on the flank that they didn't see. Hornetau took up space very quickly on backstairs, if you recall, back in round number 1. And then lost his engagement over towards Karaoke. You're going to hold a lot of map control offside of the site if you're Atsuli's Auto. Swag is still in a very similar position where he was before. That bandit playing by Geisha and by drum. A small opening in a wall on office being watched by Bursa, who gets droned out, and there goes a magnet. The first one not exactly landing where they want. Oh, beautiful view of the sky. It is a nice day. Look at these drones. That's the 3rd drone that we've seen, Nick, where Atsuli's Auto is just being watched, and they have no idea, and they just don't seem to. They seem to have no wherewithal.
I think the lack of a solace in this round, but I'm more curious, what's the attack and angle here? Walk up to the mirror window? That's not gonna work out. I mean to trade 1 for 2 actions. Maybe it does work out instead.
Well, Nears is holding the cross, and falls will be Lenda. Not to be confused with the former MIBR player, now playing on Team Secret. Down goes Nears. Gomez the kill. Ursa watching as players from Vivo Keedstars run in. UMP not able to do much. Down goes Bursa. Now it's Swag off site. Attempting to get back. Right now through Terrace. He's got some spam pings, red marks, and ideas as to where to go, but 3 players from Vivo Keedstars will be watching and waiting. None of them really need to do much. They can just be patient as the diffuser will continue to tick away. Swag emerging from his spot, and it's Hornetau with the LMG in hand. That's 3 in a row by Vivo Keedstars, and they are successful on their 2nd attempt on Office.
There it is, the Fing LMG, a true sign of terror. And I gotta say, there are just certain operators that give you a mental advantage in this game. Something like the Lion when the EE1D goes out, Finger when you're boosted up, when you have Rook armor on defense, you feel like you just have that slight edge over your opponent because you do. And it just gives you that like 1 or 3, 2, 1, go, go, go entry mentality. And the attack from Vivo Keystars, it wasn't pretty. They walk up to the exterior balcony, they trade 1-for-1, but a nade from below from Hornet Tower made it a 2-for-1 instead in their favor, and then they just collapsed together. Buying again that early man count advantage by trading 2 for the cost of 1 just means that they can, over aggress their opponent, hit the bomb site from multiple angles, and win out in those gunfights. And yeah, Swag's off the bomb site with Bandit, no C4 to go downstairs, can't deny the plan, can't find the kill, and more importantly, he can't find the way back in towards the bomb site portion of the map, so he's completely locked out. Yeah, the attacks, they aren't pretty, but this is a good look from Vivo Keystars because they got 3 rounds in the attack and starting half on Skyscraper. That's exactly where they want to be.
Really outside the ordinary when it comes to their bomb site rotation. Either they'll go back to Karaoke and T. This is where things started to go from good to bad for Achilizado. It's been Vivo Keystars' dominance the last 3 rounds, doing the opposite of what you want, which is the defenders to complete the perfect cycle. Skyscraper does tend to be quite defender-sided, and the fact that Vivo Keystars have already picked up 3 rounds through 4 on attack, that's a very impressive tally. But, I mean, this is what happens in LCQ, right? Is that we've seen time and time again that a team that does not play at a top level will make it to the LCQ. And if you look at the teams that are competing right now, you've only got 2 squads that aren't pro teams at the moment competing, right? You got Vivo Keystars, Academy, and then you've got Achilizado. Every other team that's in the LCQ, Los, Miners, Team Liquid, E1, Black Dragons, Vivo Key themselves, these are all pro teams. You expect them to win the games. That's part of what makes LCQ so exciting, is when the pro teams don't win, well, it becomes kind of thrilling because you buck the trend. And there's a lot that Achilizado needs to do to show that they're competitive, and so far they're playing on Vivo Keystars map. They probably don't have a lot of experience playing pro teams on this map. They've got their hands full.
Well, they do so far. I like that they're trying, though. Right now, they're trying something quite unique. Triple shotgun defense, because both the Mute, Smoke, and Swag on Solus are all running a primary shotgun. Of course, secondary SMG-11, a basically primary weapon at this point in the game. These players are very lethal with that specific gun. But Achilizado, they've been aggressing on defense majority of the rounds. Right now, they're just sitting back, not taking those engagements, not looking for a fight. But that's where Vivo Keystars, they get to set up, drone every inch of the map, try and get some vertical information for those nades to do their job, set up their air jabs, call down the Lion Scan, the finger boost, and walk in and try and take these fights.
There's a gas canister thrown out relatively early. 90 seconds still to go in the round.
No idea.
No, Hornetow's in the sight. Now they know. Bursa dies, not much left. Swag is down 2. Florio looks twice, but Lenda makes him pay before Hornetow gets the final pick onto Florio. Bullet is the last one standing. The sight's been swept right through. Bullet will need to retake. There's a similar position that Achilizado was in before. Got one pick. Denied Vivo Keystars the flawless round, but won't get it this time. They call the timeout, and yet somehow things go even worse for them. Vivo Keystars absolutely in the driver's seat in this match.
They are. There is one thing that we get to see how they think they should problem solve on this final defensive rounds, because if you look at the outcome of what's happening here, there's a clear lack of intel on defense. If Hornetow time and time again can just walk close to the bomb site, or even like in that round into the bomb site, pick up multiple kills and not even die in a given moment, you need information on the defense, whether it's secondary bulletproof cameras, whether it's Valkyrie, who's not banned, by the way. And this is the thing. If you start playing Valkyrie on defense, either attackers, they will start playing IQ, which is practically a useless operator, besides, of course, finding utility. She's just a walking gun, that's it. It's much better than the attackers having a soft region Sophia, a shield operator like the Osa, the Monty, etc. But, defense, they're not bringing the Valkyrie. Attackers don't have to worry about IQ. They're also not bringing secondary cameras. Mute's running a C4, not the bulletproof camera. Aruni, same story. Baba over bulletproof camera. Sure, you got bursts on the mirror, you get some intel, you know, under either reinforced walls or the soft walls, but it's usually near the bomb site, where you have the majority of your team playing regardless. And now Vivo Stars, they're doing something they haven't done before. They're showing us a utility round in the sense of shield plate. Sure, Hates was covering the Osa during the prep phase. With the attacker repick, he goes onto Monty instead. And this is one of those things where Skyscraper, very hard map to attack. Hard to get in, hard to get opening picks, hard to get bomb site plant. Monty simplifies pretty much all of those scenarios. You can easily walk into the building, you can much easier get the diffuser down, and you can of course just walk in like a drone, give out yellow pings where the nades are gonna go, or the entries are gonna shoot, and just again, simplify that process.
Well, ever since the rehost, you can see on the right side of your screen, it has not been easy for Achilles Auto to get any of these picks. One round number one, and they did so with Vivo Stars looking like they were a little bit unprepared. Monty will go in, Swag missing shots. Hates gets away alive, and that's good news for Vivo Stars, as now some of the panel wall leading into Geisha opens up. Watched. Swag will miss the opportunity, and now here's the Monty to continue on. Hates is... Oh, no. Oh, no. Bullet can't get out. Bullet can't get out. You need to swing on him. Bullet throwing an impact grenade, waiting for somebody to double up, but there's nobody there just yet. Gomez worried about a jump out from Terrace as Bullet continues to watch this Monty finally getting away. But you know how risky it is to turn your back to a Montaigne.
It's very risky indeed. You can go for that ADS or a good old hip fire, but usually if you're the attacking team there of Vivo Stars, you want to get at least a pick or some damage, but they get neither. See Finka in action, can heal up his team members. That's going to be useful, as both Hornetow and Hates have taken some damage in this round. But yeah, not the most effective roam clear. You get the map control that you want, but you could have gotten much more for that. The question now is, what's the actual bomb set approach going to be for the attack inside? You got the mirror window to deal with. You don't actually have any smoke grenades because Thermite's playing flashbangs, Hates and Munchie's playing secondary MPs. So normally you can deny line of sight with those smokes. Now you can't do that any longer. So Hates and the Munchie is going to have a much more difficult time. He has to worry about the crossfires now. The left, the right in front of him as well. He can't just walk in like usual.
Beachhead established by Achilles Auto has not been properly dealt with. They know where the Frost is, and there's Florio to swing and take out Lenda, looking for more, but only one to be found. Trying to chip away. This is such a strong position. Nobody's shutting the Frost down at the moment, but hold on a second here. The guns hitting their marks. Hates has an opportunity to pressure the Frost and will do so. Florio wins it though in this spot. Indomitable with under 10 seconds to go. Still holding cards. And Florio and Bullet get the job done. A stall out at the last moment by Vivo Stars, and the return to the bomb site by Bullet 1 is good enough for the last kill to give Achilles Auto their second round.
Sometimes all you need is a single member on your team, and in that particular round, it was Florio. He was fighting 4 different opponents throughout that round, swinging in and out to the rotate, the door, the balcony. The Munchie went for the hipfire drop shot to try and get Florio taken from that bar position, and none of it mattered. None of it worked out for the attacking side whatsoever, and that's just, you should never underestimate those anchor positions on defense, where if you're an excellent player, and you play, correctly around it, you can always blindside your opponents. He can swing the door, the rotate, the balcony, he can fall back, the attackers are not going to know his next move. The best play you can make there if you're Florio is to simply keep on moving. Don't let them know your next move whatsoever. That's what he did. Kept the enemy surprised and got 3 kills for his troubles. It was an exciting end of the round, but the sad realization is that's only 2 rounds on the defensive half. Actualizado, they have to show us an incredible attack inside now to rectify their poor performances, or just take the L here, map number 1. A place that they don't want to be in, of course, but you gotta deal with it. They're gonna show us their first lineup, and there's something happening that we have not seen, or rarely see ever at least, not a single grenade on attack. That's because Nears is playing Iana, of course, lost the grenades. No one's playing Sledge, Gridlock, or Finga. So all of a sudden, the only soft utility you got are those ass breaches from Swag. So player position-wise, if the attackers get down to those control, they can't do anything with that. I mean, you can shoot through the floor, of course, you can always do that. But the grenades, well, they're just not here.
I'm glad you pointed that out. I mean, think about if your team actually auto, right? You're bringing the Yana. Obviously, you bring her for intel. As of a couple days ago, she had grenades. She does not anymore. Now, there has been some argument online, and I've seen amongst pros, whether or not having flashbangs is actually, the flashbangs and the Gon 6 actually works as a buff, in a way. I don't know if I agree. Still has access to that G36C, though, and it's good enough to tear through Hornetau. The first kill coming out for Achilles-Auto. Lenda and Hates get on the board, and have immediately given an advantage back to Vivo Keedstars, as look at how close they are to coming to blows. Bullet is down for the count, has a swag. Hornetau and Lenda gone. Hates still on the house side stairs. Has the attention of Bursa, who has Diffuser. Particularly grave if the Hibana was to die on that spot. Far enough removed from the bomb site that somebody would have to rotate over with just a little over a minute to go to pick up the case.
I mean, I can see the argument though for Ayana. You now become like a full-on entry player. The issue is before, if you had grenades but you're the entry player, if you fail in the entry, you lose the grenades plus your player. Now you get flashbangs to enable yourself to swing areas, use them early in the round. Someone else can bring grenades once you cleared the rooms, etc. So I can see the discussion about Ayana still having a good spot in pro play, and of course just being maybe a different kind of operator. By the way, Nier is still alive, still got 3 flashbangs in pockets, gonna prove crucial in this round. It's the only real utility besides hard destruction the attackers have right now. And the issue here comes information. 2 drones alive, but the Gemini clones from Niers. He's yet to use any, I believe. But with 35 seconds left, pop it, get in, because now there's only 1 drone left. If Hades goes undetected in that corner on the top dragon side, all of a sudden he might just find himself a free kill or 2.
Hates is still posted up. Only a single drone for Achilles-Auto. Not a lot of time. Florio will take some damage. Vaulting into Geisha. Inching ever closer to the bomb site, of which Gomez will have a lot on his plate. He looks to hold it down. A flash from Niers to isolate. Now he walks up, surveying the bomb site. Gomez still here. Down goes the Hibana Bursa. Gosa takes down 2. Gomez. And that's the ball game on that round. Vivo Keedstars winning it on time and time alone. Yace, the last remaining player from Achilles-Auto, unable to get in fast enough.
Time, drones, intel, and what actually was a decent roam clear from the attack of Achilles-Auto. They got the 2-for-2 trade, so it's a 3 versus 3 round, but that's usually going to favor the defense, sure enough, because you're even in numbers. They got the map control, etc., the default chems, But having, only having an even trade on the Roam Skyscraper is definitely a successful outcome for the attack, because that's arguably the most difficult part of the map. That's your first, 2 minutes. If you can get a successful roam clear and come out, in a man advantage or good on time, usually is how you're going to find success on those attacking rounds. The issue is, while they had even man count, they just spent so many drones and so much time getting into that even position, they didn't really have enough to work with to find the round victory. The bomb site itself, of course, very far away from the office portion. It's literally across the entirety of the map, as the bomb site is that the T karaoke site instead. We'll see what they can do next time. But before we get back, a quick rehost rather, before we get to see this upcoming round.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've had 2 tech pauses now, which is going to prolong the duration of this match, but we're 38 minutes in, and we are potentially 2 rounds away from Vivo Keedstars 7-2ing this map. Now, when you look at a team that doesn't have any tier 1 experience, which is what Achilles-Auto doesn't have, you look at a team like Vivo Keedstars, who, in terms of their performance in this stage of Brazil, actually did quite well, and I think, in my eyes, overperformed their potential. Which is a good thing. That's not a slight against them.
Yeah.
For Vivo Keedstars to win 7-2 on their own map against a team that doesn't seem to play this map much, I'd say that's pretty par for the course at this point. The question mark for me is going to be Cafe, right? Achilles-Auto picks Cafe. That's map number 2. Vivo Keedstars have played that map against really good teams. Arguably better teams than Achilles-Auto. So...
yeah, I mean... sure.
Is there something else you're gonna add?
I was gonna just add is they played E1 and W7M and Black Dragon. It's just yeah, they played really good teams in Cafe, right? So definitely. That's it.
I agree.
But no, I think you're right. The only concern I have is that Skyscraper and Cafe, if you're to kind of talk about the maps, how they play out, and kind of the characteristics, they're both like structured, strategical, kind of boxy maps where it's hard to progress from your starting point. You know, Cafe, you attack either reading at top floor, you drop down that red hatch, you try and take piano, you're fighting every second of the round. You never save the drone, you can't breathe, the flank is always open, C4s from below. Skyscraper, the second you get into office, you're fighting roamers, C4s below. The flank, there's just always these pain points you gotta deal with on attack, and never any breathing room to actually think about your next move. You gotta act off what you've been practicing, preaching, and of course your game instinct, so to speak, your game knowledge. And then you go to Oregon as your decider, which is completely different. It's like the backbone of every Siege Pro player's, map pool. You can always go there. It's very often the deciding map because it's that, handshake. We both, don't mind going here, but we don't want to go there first either because it's not actually anybody's best map, or rarely is. So just looking at how familiar Skyscraper and Cafe is, I feel like a team that wins the first map of Skyscraper is much more favored to win Cafe as well, unless for some reason Actualizado just don't play this map, which is of course very likely.
Yeah, I think that's I don't want to say I think that's a given, but I think that's a given,
Yeah, I mean, the thing about being, whether it's a LCQ team or a mixed team or a tier 2 team coming to tier 1, is that realistically you're dealing with being a part-time team. Your players either go to school, they work, etc., versus like possibly a full-time, full salary team who maybe has done it for a longer period of time. So not only do you have less experience, not only do you have less fame to your name, etc., well, you also might just be playing a half or maybe even a third of the time on a weekly basis compared to your opponents. So it's no easy feat to go from tier 2 to tier 1 or play throughout the LCQs, etc. The fact that they make it so far in the first place, pick up rounds, and have shining moments alone is a success. But you don't want to go out now. You made it so far. You're out to Lisiado. You want to beat Vivo Kid Stars, at least take a map from them, build up on that experience, make a name for yourself, unless you're Bullet, for example. Also because if you do really well here, you might be a possible pickup from actual tier 1 pro teams in future seasons if you can show up when it matters the most.
Right. I mean, there's obviously not to dismiss the possibility of Actualizado winning this, but it's based on pedigree. This should be a victory for Vivo Kid Stars. It's just about how much trouble do they get and whether an upset is brewing. As of right now, it looks like everything is kind of par for the course, steady as she goes for Vivo Kid Stars. But I'm glad that you brought up that point about playing for a potential pickup spot. There's been a lot of upheaval with players in Brazil, and I would say, with no numbers to back me up whatsoever, just giving it the old eye test, Brazil certainly strikes me as a region that is always willing to give new young blood an opportunity more than EU and North America. And I mean, if you're a younger player who hasn't competed at a high level, you're Actualizado, you're going to be playing for a potential pickup spot at some point. The presumption would be that Vivo Kid Stars Academy team is in a very similar position where their players are going to be there effectively, waiting as maybe some of the players on Vivo Kid Stars aren't exactly the best. And you've got somebody warming the spot, warming the seat, so to speak. 1 minute left. This has been a very, very quick round.
Yes, nothing's really happened yet. It's about to be though. Gomez in a top position. He gets shut down immediately. That skates control to the attack inside, but they don't stop there.
Keep it going. Roll with that advantage, but there's Hornetau. Far enough back. No Razor Blooms in back pocket. He will tempt fate against Bullet. Gives his position away for scooting on down. Back stairs. 30 seconds remaining. What a shot by Hornetau on the Nears. And he could potentially go back to the top of the stairs as Bullet asserts himself. But Razor Bloom goes off. Eights is still up above as well. Has this been droned out? There's drones remaining for Actualizado, but not a lot of time for them to work with. Volto from Swag. And down goes Florio. Eights still has control from above. He'll soften up Bullet and take the remainder down with the shotgun. Daffodil, one on sight. Goodbye, Swag. 6-2 for Vivo Kid.
Oh boy. And now I got to see kind of like how the attacks are playing out, where it's just a matter of lack of intel, time is running oh so low. And if you look at the round from a top-down view, Actualizado, they get to the bomb site 5 versus 5 practically. They have a minute left, and then it really falls apart. Yeah, they get the first 2 opening picks, but then Hornetau, okay, it's a good shot on the first guy, praise to him. But he is lion scanned at the bottom of back staircase, sprinting through a barbed wire, and the Iana upside down doesn't get the kill. That's nearest on Iana. Great gun, great position. They have to read. They got the lion scan. He's red pinged, and you whip out. All of a sudden, that 5 versus 3, well, it becomes a 3 versus 3, just like last time on their first attack. They can never seem to trade in favorable numbers, or at least when they do, it doesn't last all that long. Actualizado might be looking at their potential final attack round. Should they lose, it's 7-2 and the map goes to Vivo Keith Stars, the first map of 3 of course. 3 possible in this best of 3 series. And attacking, T-Karaoke into barbecue, into offense. This is your pretty standard rotation for all things considered. Okay, barbecue second, not the most common, but it's the 3 primary bomb sites. There's no real surprises here. There hasn't been any really out of the ordinary like operator lineups or big surprises really. It's just Vivo Keith Stars playing a tad better, and Actualizado again struggling with their time, being too slow and just losing too many drones. Like right now, 30 seconds into action phase, half their drones are dead. That's without defenders playing solos, by the way. That's very impressive for defense.
Still no nades as well. Part of me wonders if it's fact that when you're a less experienced team, you don't have the ability to change up your comp so quickly. I mean, obviously from the 6 rounds that we saw Vivo Keed Stars on attack, you could tell that they were ready with the Finca. You could tell they were ready with the gridlock. They omitted the Yana. But immediately Actualizado is running with a comp that, for all intents and purposes, is fine, but it just looks like it's a week old at this point. So,
yeah, it's a good point.
Still running the Yana with flashes again. I like getting to see the way that pros handle this kind of thing, but some saying that with the Gone 6 and the flashes that she actually gets a buff. I don't know if I agree with that.
See, so far not quite. But then again, the issue right now isn't the guns, the utility, it's getting into the building in a good manner, because what is this? I mean, Swag dies for nothing, no trade happens, now Nears is left alone, sure it gets the trade, but what then? It's Florio, once again, the hero of Actualizado, always finding those picks. Now they get the advantage, 4 versus 3. How long can they keep it for though? That's the big question.
They certainly got their work cut out for them. Oh, look at this. You got Hornetau playing that Florio spot behind the bar. I'm certain that he sees the legs of the Lion as he runs by. Down goes Nears, so Daffodil gets back on the board. Into a 3v3 with 1 minute left. Vivo Keed Stars 3 kills away from going up 1-0 in this LCQ matchup, winning their map as you expect them to do. Lenda flashed out, but relatively safe behind the dragon for Florio. Pushes up a bit too much. Nitrocell goes out, tossed early. 30 seconds left. Hornetown now suffering a fate. It's Daffodil to try and stay alive. 3 kills so far. Will reaggress, but Florio takes him out, and Vivo Keed Stars will have to work a little bit harder for this map.
Florio for 1 and Florio for 2 rounds out of 3 now. Getting the job done. There's the beautiful thing about playing Ace, especially in a map like Skyscraper. You breach those exterior walls early in the round, and all of a sudden you become basically a flex or entry player. You're not needed anywhere else. You're a walking gun. That AK-12 dealing so much damage, a great time to kill. So you see him just walking, go for those flanks, get the kill, become the side entry, get another one, and finish the job. But that's gonna be your best case scenario. The breach goes off successfully, you free up your players, you get that 4 versus 3, which then fell to a 3v3 again. What happens when Vivo Keed Stars, they find the opening kill? What happens when they get Bandit or Kaid tricked? Because in this round they're bringing both, heavily playing around the EMP economy. Secondary EMPs are not gonna get the job done here, because you cannot both get the Kite Claw and the Bandit Battery if they're tricking. They're simply too far apart and too quick of an animation for the Bandit Battery to actually go down to work around that with even Ace, Thermite, or Ibana. Just not gonna work. Nears is changing operator pool right now, though, from Miami in the last 2 rounds, or 3 should I say, to Nuke. So grenades from him, grenades from Swag on Finka, and all of a sudden we see no grenades onto that normal 2 sets, 4 in pocket, burst on the Monty, Heartbreach canister as well. This is a pretty good attack on that, I would say, especially because the bomb side is an office, or sorry, T karaoke. This is typically where you're gonna bring the Monty. You can walk up those back staircases, walk in from the exterior balcony, start getting some of that side presence, and then your teammates with your grenades, like we said earlier, can work from below with the yellow pings, with the intel, and try and get those early kills.
Nook is fun to see, and there's your set of nades as well. I like the change-ups. I like what's being brought by Achilizado a lot. And Florio's been indisputably the best player for Achilizado so far, both on attack and defense at this point. Strong round to carry your team forward, keep you in this matchup. Maybe this is just an attacker-sided skyscraper at this point. If you're Achilizado, you're certainly hoping that's the case.
Oh, you're praying. But look at this. That one downside of Monty is that while you're strong on the front side, your back might be exposed. This is the flank here, possibly from Lenda downstairs, and Nears might have a read on it. He's looking in that direction at least. It comes down to timing now and who has the better read. But I think it's Nears right now. He's got that ankle on lock. And Lenda figure it out too. He'll just walk into this doorway and just die.
Oh, you might be cloaked to cameras, but not to the set of eyes that happen to be in the head of Lenda. Swag and Bursa side by side as that adrenal surge continues to go forward. 90 seconds remaining in the round. Gomez will barricade the window up. Down goes Hates to Bullet. Daffodil trading that one right back, but the Monty of Bursa's in sight. Can go for a plan as Swag loops around, takes out Daffodil immediately. An adrenal surge to give you some more sustain, but Swag losing the engagement to Gomez. Bursa with Diffuser and will be successful as Florio hangs upside down, watching over that case. They will need to swarm the Monty and swarm the Ace as Bursa loses it to Lenda, and now Florio will have to get active. What shot was that on Gomez? Oh my lord, as Florio goes in, down goes Lenda. Hornatow and Florio in a 1v1. Florio down below. Can he do anything about this diffuser, though? Up the stairs he'll go. Hornatow sticking it. Gets off of it. Down goes Florio. And that's the map. Hornatow easily gets the case. So plenty of time to spare. And Vivo Keed Stars triumphant on their map. 7-3.
Oh man, I wanted Florio to get that clutch, disgusting shot, questionable post plan, but it came all the way down to a 1v1. But of course, if one man can stop him, it's that top performer of Hornatow, who is so damn consistent for this stage so far. It's a great, try there on the attacking side, but it fell short. 7-3 for Vivo Keed Stars.
Well, I mean, that's the result.